Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to the daily forecast for Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. We are in the day of Mars, the waxing gibbous moon, Gemini season, the Celtic tree month of Oak, deer season, and Pluto retrograde. Now, the sun remains in Gemini, a mutable air sign representing communication. The moon is second quarter Scorpio, fixed water, representing self confidence. Mercury is in Cancer, cardinal water, representing hominess. Venus is in Cancer, cardinal water, representing frugality. Mars is in Taurus, fixed earth, representing purpose. Jupiter is in Gemini, mutable air, representing questing. Saturn is in Pisces, mutable water, representing nostalgia. Uranus is in Taurus, fixed earth, representing renovation. Neptune is in Pisces, mutable water, representing imagination. And Pluto is retrograding Aquarius, fixed air, meaning to examine intentions and remember our mantra of reflect, heal, and evolve. The moon phase, of course, is the waxing gibbous, which means we need to continue cultivating our intentions. For the Scorpio moon, our do's are focus, research, and be trustworthy. The don'ts are making new acquaintances, going to family gatherings, and submitting ourselves or submitting others to psychoanalysis. Not the time for it. So on this day of Mars, we have Taurus Mars and the Scorpio moon, and their energies are coming into alignment. Align your goals with purpose and focus and determination. Pursue them, rather, I should say. And then also create an oasis of comfort at home in an economically sensible way so you have a place to retreat after intense work, because it's all about the do and it's all about go, go, go right now. Our tarot of the day is Kali, sitting in the position of the Tower in the major arcana. She, of course, represents creative destruction. And as we are seeing a lot of creative destruction around us these days, and possibly within our own souls, because it has been a rough couple of years, I think it's useful for us to remember that the end is always the beginning. We always renew. And also the fact that we are pagans, and many of us on this channel are witches, we understand in a more upfront, clear-cut, this is real kind of way that all things do eventually renew, and before the renewal always comes the destruction. So it is about surviving and then setting ourselves up to thrive after that necessary destruction takes place. And we are unique in that. We are very fortunate that our spiritual worldview puts us in a position to where we are more likely to accept these times for what they are and to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Whereas other people, they're looking at thinking, oh, where's God? Where's this? Why are bad things being allowed to happen? It really does send people into a tizzy, into a kind of existential crisis. And that's a very sad thing. I'm not saying it to be down on anyone, but this is a consequence of their theology. Whereas we have the consequence of we are taught to be strong. We are taught to endure, and we are taught to see that all things come to an end and then all things begin again, and things go in this everlasting cycle, and how it can be used very much to our advantage. We are very blessed and very fortunate in that. Now, today's Celtic Triad reads, 3 things of less worth than all else: a woman without dignity, a man without knowledge, and a teacher without patience. So this may annoy some people, but we're just going to have to get over it. This did not become a saying for no reason, and our ancient pagan ancestors, they knew a thing or two, so it is worth taking their thoughts into consideration, even though it might contradict the current modern narrative. So women without dignity, and you can take that in any application that you choose. The reason why this is of less worth than all else is because dignity is a prerequisite of feminine power. We are not more powerful when we are acting in a manner that is contrary to our nature. We are not more powerful when we emulate the behaviors of men. We are not more powerful when we engage in behaviors that ultimately degrade us and lower our standings and make us less respectable. Our power is our dignity. So if we want to fully embrace our female power and be able to have that at its absolute height, it is going to require the cultivation of dignity. And you cannot have dignity without having personal standards and saying, there are things I do not do because it degrades me. It is less than me. It is going to require a change of mindset for many women to fully embrace how they can come into their power in a complete way, in a healthy way. The next thing that is of less worth than all else is a man without knowledge. So, without knowledge, without corresponding wisdom, a boy can never truly become a man. And we have an absolute epidemic of that. Look at the men of adult years. Look at them. How many of them do you truly look at and say, now that is a man? He is conducting himself the way he should. He's going about his business. He inspires confidence. He's contributing something worthwhile. He's a productive member of society. He has opinions worth listening to you. How many can you actually point out? Now, this isn't entirely their fault because, again, they have been falling prey to the same kind of ideologies that are encouraging women to act any which way. Those also are ideologies that are encouraging men to either engage in the worst of their behaviors or to never mature, just to never take that step of saying, I'm no longer looking at life through the eyes of a boy. I'm looking at it as a man. And I understand that there are hard choices to be made. I understand there are sacrifices, and I understand that I need to go out there and I need to accomplish goals. Without that knowledge, without understanding who they are, and what the role that nature intended for them to play, they can never truly come into themselves. And this is why also what's lacking from the argument of many of the red pillars or men who want to reclaim masculinity, all fine and good. The goal is fine. The goal for men to be worthy of the name, that is perfectly fine. I will never criticize that. What I do criticize is how a lot of them remain in this state of emotional immaturity, and that they are acting from a position of fear. Not managing the fear, not doing what they know to be right in spite of that fear, not learning how to cope with vulnerabilities, not learning how to defend themselves, but acting as fear as their impetus. That is grotesque to me. And that is something that does ultimately need to be fixed. And then the last thing mentioned that was of less worth than all else, of a teacher without patience. A teacher that doesn't have patience will ensure the enduring ignorance of the student. And if the students come away more ignorant or just as ignorant as they were before the teacher opened their mouths, then what was the point of that entire exercise? It is a waste of everyone's time, and it is hamstringing the person who is trying to learn. It sets them up to have a hatred of learning, or to equate education and teaching with something that is unpleasant or bad, or something that is ultimately unhelpful to them. It is such a grave breach of honor for teachers to fail in this regard. Now, today's magical intention is authority, another dirty word that people don't like these days, but we're tossing it out there. The color for this is black. The plant is the blackthorn tree. The animal is the lion, and I did find a melanized lion just for this occasion. Rather beautiful, don't you think? And then the crystal is the black opal. So, authority. Do you exercise authority over yourself? Because before someone can actually cultivate qualities of leadership or be anyone that people might look to for counsel or advice, that person has to first master themselves. So are you making the effort to master yourself? Are you telling yourself, you know what? I can identify what is good for me. I can identify what is bad for me. I can choose between the two, and I know I can take steps to do the two, and I can work at correcting my faults. I can shore up my weaknesses, and I can pursue my strengths. That is exercising authority over yourself. And that is also a characteristic of anyone who actually is a leader worthy of the name. Now, for today's pagan practice, it is Tuesday, so we honor sovereignty deities today. Also, work on your solar plexus chakra, learn something new about your Mars sign, challenge yourself to do something difficult today. And it doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest or anything extreme. Maybe it's the medicine cabinet in the bathroom to where you haven't been able to find anything in months and you don't really feel like organizing it. Maybe that could be the difficult thing you challenge yourself to do. Maybe it is doing some kind of yard work. Maybe it could be anything that you personally find challenging, even if it's seemingly a small thing. Do that difficult thing and know that you can not only discipline yourself to do it, but you can come out better for it on the other side. And of course, on Tuesdays, one of my perennial suggestions is to read a passage from The Art of War. And for those who haven't heard my spiel on that, the reason why I always recommend that is because Sun Tzu had a great grasp not only upon the tactics necessary for kinetic warfare, but he understood about how to manage conflict and how it was better to manage a conflict before it got to the state of warfare, and how if you were at war, essentially you had already failed, and all of the tactics to win the war were for you to fail the least amount and to do the least amount of damage to yourself and your people. But the principles of it can be applied to, just verbal confrontations, or, people being at odds with each other in society. He has a great deal to teach us, and so I think it's well worth taking in his wisdom. We never know when we might be in a position of needing to apply it ourselves. And then last for today's, the journal prompt, are you seizing sovereignty over your own life? And I found a picture of a king and queen for this particular one. I thought it was very striking. They're doing that old-fashioned court dancing. They're wearing the crowns. You can see them holding themselves with authority and dignity and all of that. And so when you're thinking about sovereignty over your own life, I would hope you would have kind of the feeling of this image inside of your mind. Are you seeing yourself as that much in charge of yourself? If not, why not? And if so, how are you using that agency? So that's what I'll leave you to contemplate with today. In the meantime, let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below, or let me know what you think at Brigantia Blackbird at protonmail.com. I'd be happy to hear from you there. But yeah, come back tomorrow for the next edition, and I'll see you guys then. Bye.